I've been working on learning Rust lately, so I started writing a small program that counts the number of words in a file. It's called Words, W-E-R-D-S, because all the other good names were taken, and I thought the name is just silly enough to be funny. And how it works is you have the words program, you pass in the file you want to count the words of, and it outputs them. There are 185 words in this README. And you can also pass in a directory. So if I go to books, project books, source, and do all the markdown files, you can see it outputs all of the files. It counts them, so you can see which ones, the count for a specific file. And down here we have the total, 16,819 words. Neato. That's words so far. Been having a lot of fun learning it, and I thought I would take some time to add a line count instead of just a word count and see how that could be as a sort of live programming, adding something to a small open source project and seeing what happens. So I'm going to start Cargo Watch, which is a program that watches for code changes and then runs different things. So I'm going to run cargo check, cargo test, and anytime I change something, it will run check to make sure that things are correct. And then we'll run the tests, including unit tests up here. So you can see it ran one unit test, words in line properly counts. And then it runs 8 integration tests, which verify that the command is actually working. So let's look at the source code in the project to start before we go any further. Using clap, which is a program for parsing out the command line arguments, command line argument parser, clap. This just sets it up. There's one argument, files, so it's a pretty simple command line tool, and the files is a vector of strings, which are passed to the files. We have a function that counts the number of words in a given string, which should be a line of a string, not an entire block of a string, because a lot of file reading happens line by line, and so does standard in reading. Here's a test, unit tests for a variety of word lengths. We have a struct called wordyfile, which has a path to the file and the word count to keep track of it. And basically what happens is we parse out the args with clap. We have wfiles, which is our wordyfiles vector. Vectors in Rust are sort of like arrays. They're arrays that can have the items change, where arrays are otherwise immutable in Rust. So you use vectors. So we loop through the args in the file. We instantiate a new struct of wordyfile with a 0 word count in the path from the arg file. If it is dash, then we read from standard in, and we just add to that wfile struct instance the words in the line. Otherwise, we check if it's a directory. If it's a directory, we have an error. If there's another error trying to check if it's a directory, we return that error. Then we get the content from the file using the path, set it, or handle an error if it can't be opened, which that could happen a lot, right? Like a file might not exist, and then it reads through each line in the file, contents, adds it to the word count, and then pushes it into our vector. So we're looping through the lines, adding the count of words. We have a vector collecting these structs, and then we print a summary. So if there's more than one file in the wfiles vector, we loop through each of them, print out a summary with the word count and the number and the path to the file, and then we print out a total summary of the word count. This uses fold, which in Ruby, I always go back to Ruby because I come from Ruby, but in Ruby this would be reduce, and other languages might also have reduce. But fold does something similar, where we start with 0, we have everything so far, and then we have the instance that it's folding into it. So then we sum up the word count and have the total. Otherwise, if it's just one file, then we just print the word count to be really concise. And then it prints it out, exits with success, and that's the program. Pretty simple, all in this one file, which is nice. And then if there's an error, we do some special error handling, where we return the exit code for failure, so it'll be 1, or yeah, I think it'll be 1, but it won't be 0. And we print an error ourselves so that we have more control over the error and what happens. So let me actually show you if you ran words with foo md, which doesn't exist. Error, no such file or directory. OS error 2, foo, md. So that's how the errors work. Same with directory, like let me show you running it with a directory. So we have a tests directory, file is directory, tests. So that's what that does. That's the program so far. Let's look at the test, because I think that's really interesting, and then we'll go and write a test for counting words. So we use this cargo crate called assert command, which allows us to build a command and then make assertions on it. So this says with the cargo bin, which is saying that the bin in our cargo file, our cargo project, words, pass in the arg, test features haiku text, which is a fixture file I created, which I can show you, called haiku, old pond, frog leaps in, water sound. I think that's from Wikipedia, I took it. And it says assert that it succeeds and that standard out gets output the string 7 with a new line. And all those tests pass, which we can see over here, right? Single file gets run here. Looks like they're getting run in a random order. Let's save it. Runs it again. Yeah, they're a random order, which is good. That's what you want. We can test failures. So file is a directory. We say words, pass in test fixtures, which is our directory. Assert that it's a failure and that this was output to standard error. That's all good. We can assert on standard in. So if it's the arg is dash and we write standard in, then we say it's successful, counts those words. Okay, that's all good. Let's dig into test driving new functionality. So I want to just first caveat and say I am new to Rust. This is my first Rust program. I'm like still actively learning so much about it. So please leave comments if there's things I'm doing that are bad or could be better, or open pull requests. This is open source on github.com/bretchalubis/words. But I think I feel comfortable enough to write some code driven by tests and see what happens. So we're going to call this line count. We'll call it single line count. And we're going to have words. We're going to pass an arg of dash L for line. And each arg, like where you'd have a space, is the next arg. Like you can't do this like you would write it normally in the terminal or whatever. Fixtures haiku, it would be arg and then a second arg. So haiku text, right? That's all correct. And then we'll say command assert success standard out string. And we're just going to make it say 3 because there are 3 lines. And since we specified L, that will be our flag for lines. So let's delete that. Let's also, oh no, I deleted the good part. Let's delete that, put a semicolon here, need a semicolon there, save it. Now, everything ran and we have a failure. Found argument dash L, which wasn't expected or isn't valid in this context. If you tried to supply L as a value, use dash dash space dash L. Now, before I was running words because I've installed the words program, but when you're working with cargo, you do cargo run dash dash, and then that runs your program. So that runs it with no args. Let's do dash L and see what happens. We get an error, found argument L, which wasn't expected. Okay, now let's go and add support for that now that we have a test that is helping us ensure that it's working right. So I'm going to open source main rs, and we're going to start by supporting the lines arg, which I don't know how to do in clap. So that is going to be something new, but I think it's going to be something like our struct CLI, and I think it's going to be, I don't know how. Let's see. We're going to call it lines. It's going to be a Boolean. And let's just see what that does with our program before I go to Google. If we do help, lines must be positional. Lines is positional, must take a value. So there's something more to it. Let's just go ahead and Google, because that is the programmer's #1 tool. Let me minimize that other window. Okay, clap rust, define bool arg flags. That is a lot, but let's go to the clap docs. Short is C, long is config, takes value true, usage string. That's kind of what we want. Let's go to the latest version. That's docs for an old version. We don't want that. Let's go to clap, the home page, because I think that will be better. Name, count, default t value. Here we go. Args, short, long. We want that. So this is I don't know what the pound sign does in Rust. That's new to me, but you can specify things using this special syntax, which is just new to me. And then 3 slashes is for documenting it. So print the number of lines in a file instead of words. Let's see what happens if we run help again. We have -L, dash lines, because clap does that. And we have the string that we just specified, so that's really nice. Clap is really cool. Like, that's pretty intuitive, right? Just had to look this up. Know about that. It's an arg, it has short and long, so you can do -L or dash lines. Now our test ran, and let's see what happened. It ran, it exited with code 0, it ran with standard out 7, because that's the number of words, but we're expecting it to output 3. Oh yeah, here's a good failure up here. Expected 3, got 7. Let's fix it. So we're gonna say, or in main, what I want to do is word count. Let's also do line count. We'll make it usize. We'll just keep track of it in our struct. The refactor to have that struct really made the code a lot more maintainable. So that was a fun refactor. But I've already done it, so we'll just keep moving. So then what I want to do is for line in standard lines, do wfile.linecount ++. Don't know if ++ works in Rust. I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't. So let's do +=1. That should work. Great, that's pretty easy. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, our tests are running over there on the right pane, and if the wfile's length is 1, wfile and wfile's iter, format, and then now the question becomes we output the word count. And what we instead want to say is line count. So that becomes mildly interesting. So let's do let count is a U size. Say 0. If args, which comes from clap, if args line, that's not how ifs work in this language. If args line, then we'll say count equals w file dot line count. Else w file equals word count. Down here we'll say line count. Sorry, we'll just say count. Save it. Okay, we've got some issues because we didn't make this mutable because we're changing it. Okay. It's never read. I don't think that's true. Because aren't we reading it down here? What if value assigned to count is never read? I'm wondering if that's a misleading error. But anyway, we're gonna figure that out. Maybe we can even Well, I don't know. There's a couple weird things we could do. Let's make it bad and then we'll make it better. So here we'll say s.word count. I instead want it to be, I don't know if you can do multi-line. Closures like this. Is that what this would be? So this becomes line count. Save it. Still failing because this is for multiple files. So here we'll do if rs.lines else we'll do the same thing with count again. Kind of gross, but again, make it bad, and then we'll make it better. So if it's that, we'll say count is equal to that. If it's that, we'll say count is equal to line count. I'm missing semicolons all over. I'm so used to Ruby. And then here we'll just output count. It's still failing. So that's surprising. Unexpected. It panicked. Oh, that's because of the failure. Let's run it ourselves and see what happens. The assigned value to count is never read. Maybe is it being overwritten? Okay, that is true. We are overwriting it before it's being read. Let's fix that issue. Can I just do this in Rust? Variable does not need to be mutable. Is there a bigger count somewhere? Or like an out of scope count? I don't think so. usize. I do think it's being used down here, isn't it? It doesn't need to be mutable. Wonder why it doesn't need to be mutable. This is a lot of learning, so sorry that seems silly. Let's run it. It's still failing. Let's see what happens if I run that there. Read me 70 lines. Let's look at our test. Why is it failing? Oh, there's no new line. Now the test should pass. Okay, great. The tests are passing. Let's add a test for multiple files because that code I wrote wasn't actually covered by tests, so let's test it. Multiple files line count. So we'll do -L, we'll do test fixtures medium, and then let's look at medium really quick. Medium has 1. Ooh, will it count empty lines? I think it should. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Save it. Run it. Ah. Oh yeah, but there's more to it. So we could say there's a way to do contains, like a regex almost. Contains. Let's look it up really quick. Assert command rust. Oops. Assert command rust. Let's see what we have. I forget. We'll just output the whole thing. We'll just copy it from here. Then change it. So we're just running it on 2. We'll say haiku has 3. We'll say medium has 5. And then we'll say total has 8. Make our test thorough. That's great. And it works. Let's see. Yeah, so that works. We can then pass in tests, fixtures, star text. maybe just star text. And now it outputs the number of lines here. Long has a lot of words in it, but it's only on 3 lines. And we can see there are 81 lines of text and all that. So yeah, that's that. Okay, let's try to make this better, because I feel like that is I feel like this code is not very good. So we basically have, we're keying off of args here, args lines, and we want to make that better. Let's think of function. I'm thinking we'll have something that's like count based args. And this might not work if we wanted to have both be output, but let's just do this for now. So we're going to have lines. I don't know if Rust has a syntax for like Boolean args, or it's like has lines or is lines, but we'll make a bool. And then we'll say W file, which is a wordy file. And we'll say it returns a usize. So here's the kind of vision, is that we would do count based args, we would say args lines, and we would say W files 0. Delete all of, or take this down here. And then we don't even need to count anymore as a variable. I think we can get rid of these semicolons. That says return. Save that. This doesn't need to be that. This becomes this. This becomes just lines. That's a bit better. Some things aren't happy. No field line on type CLI. I think it's called lines. I want to pass the wordy file in first. So let's change that order. Let's make this that. Save it. Still got issues, but figure that out in a sec. Saying line 110, mismatched closing delimiter. Okay, we're getting closer. This is where we get into the realm of Rust where I don't know what I'm doing, which is passing in by reference. It's been so long since I've done C programming that it becomes a lot of like, I think this is what it wants, and then I try it and we see and go from there. Like what I did, now it compiles in the test pass, but it doesn't feel right. So like I don't fully, like I kind of understand why that works, but I want to know more about why that works. But here we've got, we'll just do count based args. We've got our S, which is our wordy file. S is a bad name. Let's make it WF. And then we've got args lines. So do that, close that. This goes away. Does a paren go there? No, paren doesn't go there. Or sorry, semicolon doesn't go there. R is that, so we want to do R plus. Okay, everything compiles, right? Or compiles, yes, and the test pass. This is why testing isn't really nice. And then count here instead becomes count based args, where we take W file and we take args.lines. And then let's say we wanted to count bytes, we would refactor again. But for now, this is getting better and better, I think. Missing the closing paren. Hey, okay, everything passes. Does this seem better? Does this seem okay? I think so. these end-of-line types, that's coming from a Vim plugin I'm using, and they're kind of annoying. That's like kind of helpful to know, I guess, what each line type is. So I'm on the fence about that, but I'm finding it annoying at least during the screencast. But yeah, okay, that's feeling a little bit better. Count-based args. Let's see, just to belabor this. I know it's probably long for just like for some simple code, but let's write codes. Let's write some tests for this. Let's move this down to the bottom and have our functions live down here. I think that's quite a bit better. And you know what? We could even test handle error or unit test that. But for now, let's do function. Let's test count-based args. Keys off line school. I'm so used to RSpec and like BDD, behavior-driven development frameworks, where you're really wordy about describing it. So just like making a function name based on it seems super weird to me. Let's go assert that a Boolean expression is true at runtime. So let's do handle. Oh, we're not doing handle error. We're doing count-based args. Let's change count-based to be count-based on. Count-based on. Yeah, that feels better. So say count based on args. W file, so we'll do W file, which is a word. Okay. Do we need to have crate there? We'll just say example.text. Let's make this a separate. Let W file equals wordy file. We'll say word count 10, line count 2. Passing a W file, and let's pass in true. And it's not a Boolean, sorry, assert equal, it is a, we're expecting a U size. So true here represents lines, so then 2, and then we'll say false 10. I don't love how this reads, false true, like that's very confusing to me. I guess we do need crate here. So I think maybe I would change that API. This is where I feel like I'm doing something wrong every time I have to do string from instead of passing the string in. That always just seems odd. Arguments are incorrect. Gotta pass that in like that. It's never used. Oh, because you have to do test. So everything compiles, that test works. You can see up here we have 2 passed. So yeah, we've got a unit test now. And maybe I would have wrote that unit test first if I was feeling it, but I was having fun writing it the other way. And let's test handle error, and then this episode will be over. Thank you so much for watching me program Rust. I'm sure this is just like, either you know Rust and this is infuriating, or you don't know Rust and you're like, what the heck is happening here? But I thought it would be helpful to show like someone new to Rust who comes from a background in TDD to like test drive something out. And do I want to unit test handle error? I don't know. Let's see. Is there an easy way to say assert that autocomplete was hilariously unreadable? That it outputs the standard out. Let's just do handle error returns error type. I feel like that's valuable, and we've got the integration test for the printing the standard out. So let's say return, what the heck is it? Exit code? Failure exit code. Let's just do that. Assert equal handle error. What are the crate? What are the args again? File, which is a string. Whoa. My keyboard is freezing up on me. I don't know what happened there. File, which is a string. We'll just say example.txt. And what's the second message? Not bad stuff. Bad thing happened. So we take that. Gotta do the string from. There's just gotta be a better way to do that. I think I read about it in the Rest book, but I don't know it yet. If you know, please tell me. And then we'll say this equals exit code. Does that work? Found struct exit code. Failure. Sure does not like this. Cannot be applied to type exit code. Whew. I don't know what that means. Assert macro assert equal. Maybe it's because we're calling it and it's returning exit code. What even is this? Oh, I don't know. Let's just delete it. Got some learning to do there. Anyways, that's working. Let's do cargo bumped. Probably formatted it a little better. I didn't get to see it. I want to get my Vim setup working better with that so that it can run there. And let's do cargo clippy and just like see if it did anything. Nothing output. So, okay. That's pretty cool. Let's make sure we didn't break it just to be super safe. Okay, we've got that. And just for fun, we've got words. All right, we added new functionality to the words program with tests and Rest. Thank you so much for watching. It's been fun learning Rest. I'm having a good time with it, and it's been really interesting and challenging and rewarding. See ya next time. Thanks, bye.